An antique Japanese sword, huh? This commenter says a lot, and a lot of it is based on many misconceptions that people have about Japanese swords. First and foremost, that the most important thing to him is the signature on the tang. So for example, this particular sword is signed Soshu Ju Tsunohiro. And in all likelihood, it is a fake signature, which is to say, this is a smith whose signature has been forged many times over because he was a very popular smith for his time. So the existence of a signature does not necessarily mean it's who it says it is. Also, some traditions of swordsmithing didn't sign their sword very often. For example, this particular 650-year-old sword belongs to the Tegai school, specifically a smith, Tegai Kanetoshi, and there is no signature on it. And yet it has been certified by the NBTHK as having been made by Tegai Kanetoshi. Furthermore, many swords, like this 500-year-old sword, were cut down, shortened. They were originally longer swords, but then they were later shortened to make shorter swords. And if the signature had been up here, that shortening process would have removed it. So not all swords are signed, and not all signatures are authentic. As for authentication papers, this is a little bit tricky because in order to own a sword in Japan legally, you have to have a torokusho, which is this document here. It does not certify that the sword was made by a specific smith. It just basically says, what is the length of the sword? What is the curvature? And if it has a signature, what is that signature? Now, when a sword is exported from Japan, this is technically supposed to be turned in, though many dealers will provide scanned copies of it. That said, nearly 1 million swords were brought back from Japan after World War II, before torokusho were even created. So there are many authentic Japanese swords which do not have these. There are also certification papers that are issued by the varying organizations or polishers or famous sword evaluators. So this here is a Kanteisho from the NBTHK, which is probably the most respected organization for authenticating Japanese swords. And there are some older versions from the NBTHK, which were embroiled in a Yakuza scandal, and so are not considered valid. Though generally speaking, if it's not a famous smith, then the attribution might be quite accurate. And here's another type from the NTHK. So even if the sword doesn't have a certification or a torokusho registration, it doesn't necessarily mean it's not a real Japanese sword. In fact, there are still some very valuable ones out there that have none of this.